So we will begin our council meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start with the roll call.
Terry Reed,
Here.
Chad Melinda,
Here.
Bill Niemeyer,
Here.
Brian Hartley,
Here.
Ethan Mason.
Here. Moving on to the APVs for the meeting, we are looking for a motion to approve APVs number 27330 through 27394.
I'll make a motion to approve APVs 27330 through 27394 as presented in our back materials.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Bill. It has been moved and seconded. Any conversation or discussion that you have, council? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It's approved. Thank you. Also looking for a motion to adopt minutes from our January 8th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the town council minutes from January 8th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Ryan made the motion and Terry seconded. Any conversations, adjustments that we need to make for that? Then all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes as well. Thank you. We do allot some time at the beginning of our meetings for any public comments related to items on the agenda. We limit that to 3 minutes per person. Just simply ask that you come to the podium and state your name and address for the record and share with us your thoughts. Is anybody here this evening that would like to have any comments with us? Okay, no. Fantastic. Old business, we don't have anything on the agenda to cover in terms of old business, so we'll move to new business. And the first item is an amendment to our salary ordinance for 2025. And I'll ask Yvonne to kind of update why that's before us and what those changes are.
Changes on here were due to the fact that we hired new police officer, Alex Sproul. So we added him to this salary ordinance. Also, there was a typo in the last one where I had stated the year was 2024 instead of 2025. That is on page 1, 2, 3, 4 in the section that says miscellaneous provisions. The third item on that and the lower section says certified salary for 2025. So that's the mandatory 20.3% certified salary of 2025, not 2024 as I had it for the previous one. So that is on there. Officer Sproul started on the 6th of January, so we need to make sure that it covers that date. And Zach, I want to defer to you to make sure that indeed that covers that in this salary ordinance. And then there's one item I would like to ask you about as a council. We have the appendix A for certifications and additional pay. Nowhere in this salary ordinance do we state who is eligible for that, whether that is full-time, part-time, long-haired people, bearded people. I don't know how it's, to whom that may or may not apply. And that has come up because it states in here that we spread it out over the year, which is difficult to do when you have a part-time employee that has a certification. In this case, Jen has a certification. She works part-time, but her hours aren't the same necessarily every pay period. So I would like to know how you would like for me to handle that. And then we probably need to state that.
In
Okay.
compare, like with Kyle, it's just a certification pay.
But he works full-time, so we can split it over 26 pay periods, and which we can still split it over 26 pay periods, however, not necessarily, included in an hourly wage, because sometimes Jen works, 40 hours a week if we're at training, or if we are here, it could be 20 hours a week, depending on schedules.
Isn't there a provision with payroll professionals to just simply have a box or some element that says certification pay that we can
Well,
split
how
it
I
over?
do it with them doesn't, you need to decide.
I'm
Is
asking, yeah, but
part-time employee eligible, and do we just split it 26 through 26 pay periods and just add it on as an
okay.
additional?
That would make sense to me, but
Yeah, I think that if we are offering certifications and we have part-time employees that are willing to do so and get those certifications, we certainly want to compensate them. It's a benefit to the town, in my opinion. Other thoughts from the council?
I agree.
no, I think the one key thing we were aiming for with that is to make sure that we've got a very well organized and trained staff. So yeah, I think that
So in that case, splitting it 26 ways, and then each pay period, that amount is paid.
Yes, that's what my recommend. Do you need any formal?
I would say
Motion?
we make a motion. Zach, does that sound
Yeah,
right?
that sounds right to me.
I'll make a motion that we approve the incentive pays listed on Appendix A, and that those amounts be split over 26 pay periods, and that those incentive pays apply to part-time and/or full-time employees equal.
I will second that motion.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion related to that? Do we need, the only question I would have is, since we're using Jenny as a guinea pig, if it's not a guaranteed incentive. In other words, once you get it, you're not guaranteed $1,000. If we would have an employee leave because we're spacing that over the 26, they would not get the full amount of that incentive, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted that clarification.
I'll stay until December.
That's fine. Hey, you go get yours. You go get yours. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you.
Question,
Now
maybe
you
I
still
missed
need
it.
to.
We still need to do that, yeah.
Ordinance,
On the
yeah.
ordinance itself.
Okay. So let's take that ordinance and before we throw in discussion, do we have a motion to approve the ordinance?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended ordinance 012225.
Thank you, Chad. And a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Ryan. And then discussion. You have something to discuss? Bill, did you want to say, I thought you had something about the ordinance.
No, I thought we just made my motion.
Oh, okay. No.
Do you want that as a part of?
Oh, that was your motion?
Yes, we already.
So
took
we
care of the
took
appendix.
care of that, and then we have to
Now, Ryan,
approve, which
the-
Chad made, Ryan seconded,
I have
and
no-
you're good.
I have no discussion.
Fantastic. I'm a fan of paying Officer Sproul. So with no other conversation or discussion, all those in favor?
I have one comment,
Okay.
and I'm in favor of paying all of our employees.
Ethan,
Yes.
before you make that, let me add something to this.
Oh, okay.
Apologize, Bill. I've been made aware, we do have part-time employees that sometimes have to come in on the holidays. And I say that because of their position at the lab. If they do come in on the holidays, is that something that we can pay for part-time, or is that?
Well, I would defer to what our document currently says. So what does our document currently say? Are you aware? Our handbook or
The
our
handbook
ordinance?
states full-time
Yeah.
employees are eligible for holiday.
Okay.
Jim, are you suggesting that we add holiday pay for part-time individuals?
Yes. It was just,
All right.
Is that for an on-call basis?
it's not on call. It's kind of like part, yeah. She comes in on a Tuesday to Friday. So if a holiday does pop in on a Friday or Wednesday and she has to work, although she's part-time, does that fall into holiday pay?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
I would think so. I think exactly with the appendix and the incentive pays, I don't want to make a distinction between full-time employees and part-time employees, because in that situation, you have a part-time employee who's working on a holiday, and they absolutely should be entitled to that incentive, at least in my opinion.
That's a handbook thing though, right?
That is a
So we'll have-
handbook thing. So I
Yeah.
would say let's make the motions for all of this, and then I can put that in front of the handbook company and have them update that.
Are there
And
any other
then
changes?
you will I'm sorry,
Are there any other changes we need to make with the handbook?
not that I know.
Okay.
for
I just
the
want
second.
to know if we're gonna pay
But-
for it, we get them all up.
It is possible that there's a law change or two
Okay.
that needs to be updated, so I'll just get with them. And then we'll put that handbook with corrections in front of you for you to approve that at the next meeting, potentially.
Okay, so we won't take any action on the handbook tonight. There's no holidays between now and our next meeting. So can we just take
I'd
action
say
on that?
Make the motion and approve it so that I can put that in front of the handbook company and say, hey, look, this is what's been approved. Part-time employees also are eligible for holidays.
Okay, so we'll do that in a minute.
Okay.
So let's go back to the salary ordinance. We have a motion and a second, and any other discussion associated with that? Right, that's where we are, right?
Who did the motion and who did the second?
I motioned, Ryan seconded.
All right, you guys good?
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor for approving the salary ordinance as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved. And now we'll look at the handbook suggestion so that we can approve that adjustment to include part-time employees in our holiday pay. And we'd be looking for a motion for that.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, that's what we were waiting for. Go ahead.
That's
Okay.
why I looked at you.
Thank you. I'll make a motion that holiday pay be extended and that the guidebook be amended so that it applies equally to part-time employees and full-time employees who should happen to work on a holiday.
Okay? Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other conversation, discussion that needs to happen?
So can will we review this before it?
Well, Yvonne now will ask the handbook company to make the change, so they'll give us the wording, and then we would have to vote on the amended handbook.
And if you don't like the wording or whatever,
Then we'll
change
tweak
it
it.
back.
How
But
much
this-
does that
this-
cost us to do that again? And make
So-
another change on,
Not very much.
okay.
We are very reasonable. And we also have a deal with them that they do updates for, I think it's $150 per year if there's updates, this law update. So it's not a very costly thing. They also don't print the handbooks. We get it in a PDF, so it doesn't cost printing cost or binding costs or anything like that.
Okay.
So the process with this is we have to approve a motion to make a change. They make the change and then we have to approve the change.
You approve the handbook as it is, as a
Seems-
whole.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel important.
Okay. All right. I will, if there's any other suggested changes, I would hold off on making those amendments until we know there's going to be suggested changes. Like if you go through it and say there are others, let's deal with it. If there's other changes that need to be addressed.
That's what I asked her in the beginning. Is there anything else that we need to change? And she said they may have to update some laws
We
and
will
things, and
update
they'll do that.
Everything that needs to be updated for legal purposes plus this rule,
Okay.
as it's stated.
Okay.
Well, we may want to put in the other discussion we had about benefits in there as well. Was that in that?
The being able to be paid immediately or
Mhm.
the insurance immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That'll be a change in there as well.
Okay,
We're,
good.
we're gonna just clean it all
Cool.
up.
Awesome.
And I will, if you would like me to, I'll put it in front of you to go through it and make sure I didn't miss
Bless you.
anything before we officially present it.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is the motion would be a motion for Yvonne to review the handbook and return to the council with suggested changes.
Before submitting it, do
Correct. Is that okay,
you want
Yvonne?
to change your motion?
You know, I'd like to make it different.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that Yvonne review the handbook and make any suggested changes and then just submit them to us and we'll approve them all at the same time.
I'll second that.
Any other conversation related to that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? It is approved. Thank you, Yvonne, and Jenny,
Thank you.
making sure those things get changed. The next thing on our agenda is to appoint the RDC, which is yearly appointments. We've reached out to the members of the RDC to see if any have any desire to step away from those responsibilities, or as a council to kind of think through if there were any changes we would like to make. And I've not received any information that speaks to any of that. I would just kind of suggest that we reappoint those members of the RDC for another year. There are 2 members appointed by the council. There are 3 members appointed by the president, and then affirming the school board non-voting member appointment. So the 2 members last year that the council nominated and appointed were Steve Rainey and Ethan Maple. And so I would be looking for nominations and appointments for those 2 individuals, or other names that you would like to lift up as a council.
I'll make a motion that the council appoint Steve Rainey and Ethan Maple to the redevelopment commission.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. As president, I will again reappoint Rachel Strong, Mark Looney, and Bill Niemeyer to the RDC for 2025. And as the school board has asked us to affirm their recommendation of Dr. Gina Pleak, who's the superintendent, to serve on that commission, we'll throw that in there too. We don't have to vote for that. I just get to do that, right?
Yep.
All right. So the RDC meeting is
Fifth.
next meeting, the 5th, right? So for their reorganization meeting, we'll be meeting. Thank you, guys. As I mentioned to you, one of the things that I want to make sure as a council we feel comfortable doing is having conversations and discussions in meeting times. Doesn't have to be, everything has to be motion driven, resolution ordinance driven. Sometimes just good conversation about what's in the best interest of the town is helpful for us to have dialogue and think through and process and maybe have some goals in terms of next steps. And one of those that we have thought about and talked about in different capacities has been town and wastewater employee reviews. And so I'd just like to take a few minutes to get you guys' perspective on how we might go about doing effective reviews for both our department heads and making sure all of the employees in the town have yearly reviews. What processes would we want to look at? What templates do we want to provide? Just kind of that conversation. So anybody have any thoughts on employee reviews for the town?
I think it's a great idea. The taxpayers voted for us to be their advocate to make sure that the town is running efficiently and effectively. And so I think that would help. Might streamline, we might, but as far as, I don't have any templates or anything in my pocket here.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I certainly agree that every employee should have a review annually, just so that they can set goals, learn if they're meeting expectations, discuss any areas that might need improvement. I think that's a very, very, very essential item to occur on an annual basis.
I agree. I think the template piece is the harder thing to tackle there, but in my mind, it can be simple and can evolve, right? But I think being able to give feedback and elicit feedback is imperative, I think, for anybody doing any position. So I'm in support of this. I think the next piece that I would ask is, how do the department's heads want to do that? Like, is there a way that you feel passionate about, or you guys are already doing, that we could just apply together?
I have a template, but it's kind of a weak template, so I'm more than willing to share it. And like you said, I think it's a template that we can add to or build on for sure. So
Yeah, we do the same. We have it about every 6 months we meet and we have a review with all the officers. So again, generic template, it's more of a conversation piece back and forth, their goals, my goals for them. So it's similar. So it's whatever you guys would like to do. I know it's kind of tough for you guys to review our employees as far as that are underneath the department heads, because we see them every day, so we kind of know what they're doing, what they need to be better at, what we would like them to do, and vice versa. We had the conversation, matter of fact, just today with Sergeant Batten and his shift. They sat down and had goal meetings today, so we kind of know what we want to do. But yeah, whatever you guys think, let us know. We'll work right alongside you.
Steve, do you have a process right now?
Yeah, as soon as I get an employee, I would start the employee review process. Let me spend a couple months with them.
I think that was a hint, nod. Yeah, I think if you guys put a suggestion together, and I think then if we share that, then we can add, and then come to an agreement there. I think that makes sense. It doesn't have to be really burdensome, right?
Ours is pretty
At the end of the day, it should be a position to provide feedback, set goals.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think that our department heads are in the best position to review the employees. I think doing that at least yearly, so that we have a record of being able to understand how our employees are progressing and meeting the expectations or not meeting the expectations that we have for those roles. And I certainly do trust our department heads to be able to do that. And I think the council could be in a position to have employee reviews for our department heads as well, to be able to have conversations with them yearly to make sure everybody's on the same page and we're honoring the expectations of the town that has for us too.
We appreciate the interest.
So if you have a template already, is that something you can send out to the council so that we can review what you currently have?
Absolutely.
I would appreciate that. And then maybe putting it on the agenda for next month to say, okay, what's the next reasonable step for employee reviews in 2025? That seem reasonable for you all?
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll start with what you have, and then we'll look at that and then build from there. I appreciate that.
I've got a lot of experience with these, but so I'll see if I've got a good, easy template. But I've seen some that are very complicated and some that are very simple, and the complicated ones that have a bunch of detail and a bunch of fill out this and do this aren't as effective as, a couple bullet points and then, conversations around them. So.
I worked in HR, so I might be able to pull up something.
I like it. So we'll take those, and then Chad and Terry will make sure they're pretty and effective. And I imagine my experience is that as part of our department head reviews, our employee kind of a 360 type of mentality around reviews, helping our employees speak into those reviews for our department heads to make sure that we have a full picture of how our employees are functioning. So we'll continue that conversation until we have a plan in place, and then we'll see how that plan works and adjust as necessary. Anything else regarding any review discussion? Thank you for that. Again, if there's any elements around conversation and discussion, again, not to have to make a definitive decision, but I think it's good to have conversation.
I've got something I'll add. I was going to do it at a later meeting. It's not on the agenda, but while we're having a discussion, I went to the election office today. Something I'm looking into for the future of the council is to stagger the election cycle here for the council. More of a 3 and 2. I think it would be a more consistent government rather than replacing all 5 or not replacing all 5. Stagger those elections. So I just think it would result in a better outcome. It's something I'm looking into. I know there's a legislative bill 1354 right now that's being that's been written and being reviewed, and if that goes through, it's going to happen anyway. But it's something I'm going to reach out to Ethan Lawson and talk to him about that bill. And Lisa Lofgreen is actually working with me and going to get me information on that process moving forward on how we need to take action on that. I just want to throw it out there for the council to know that that's something I was looking into.
We have an ordinance that did pass, but never got enacted.
It was never followed up on.
Right.
So
And so it is sitting here, and it does have where when the first year of the 5 were elected, the 2 with the lowest votes were only supposed to be in for a 3-year term instead of a 4-year term, and that's how it was supposed to begin to be staggered, and it never got followed up on. The attorneys, we changed attorneys, and I think it was during a turmoil that it did not follow through. So prior to doing that, let's look at some of the ordinances that we have so we can eliminate what we've got and.
Can you send that one out? Because I think that could probably be the basis of it, right?
Start.
Okay.
well, that's something we'll want to share with the election office too, because from what I understand, this can only happen once every 12 years. Is what Lisa was telling me. Once you do this, you can't change it for 12 years.
Okay.
So
Let me find
we
the
want to follow
ordinances that I have. that
we want to follow up on that. I know it was never followed through with.
Correct. But I do think it's in our ordinance book. I do think it's in American legal.
Okay.
I will send out information to you and
1 year seems
That.
weird though, right?
Yeah.
When you do 2 years.
2 and 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if I
because
remember-
ultimately it'd be a really bad situation if all 5 members of the council were brand new and our clerk treasurer was brand new.
Yes.
That could be a huge problem.
And there's laws about how to go. Lisa really enlightened me on this today. And like I said, with that legislative bill being written and discussed right now, it's one thing that I think it's getting a lot of traction. We'll see how this plays out. We won't know anything really for sure until after July. So I was planning on really talking about this tonight. Then I decided I wasn't going to, and I figured I would at least bring it up. If the bill doesn't go through, I know that we have to take action by the end of next year. So this is something I'll keep track of. I'll share the information that you give to me with Lisa
Okay.
and just find out the process we need to do. Again, I want to follow up with Ethan and make him aware of the bill, let him know what we're doing, and I'll just kind of follow along and see what happens. But
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, there was some discussion and there was a requirement that we set up districts. If you're gonna stagger, there had to be assigned defined districts, and I don't know if that's still the case or.
I know we eliminated districts prior to, I think it's eliminating the districts, because there was an ordinance that was eliminating all districts, so all members were at large, and then it became the then it went from 3 to 5, and then it began to be staggered.
Do we have any legal input over there?
I'm
This is-
researching.
You're looking hard.
Yeah. There is a state statute that require if you're going to change the election cycle, the year in which people are elected, you got to wait 12 years before you change it again. So you're on the right track with that. That's all I've got right now.
So how does that affect if there is an ordinance on the books that's been previously approved? Is it 12 years from that point and we just
Mhm.
haven't been following the law?
Yeah.
So would that law be in effect kind of going back to our previous, our election last year, or 2023.
Oh gosh, yeah, I need to take a look at the ordinance and
I'll send it to
We
you.
may have already done
Yeah.
this.
Well,
And some of us may be up for election really soon.
well, from what I understand from the election office, these things change every year, and it does get complicated. And if this bill goes through, it may be a moot point anyway. So,
But I think it's still worth the discussion because like we're gonna have to stagger it somehow,
Yeah.
right?
I think
right,
that's the
and
best,
we'll
for the best town.
working with the election office and the state reps, and all that's going to give us our because you only get, from what she told me, you only get one shot at this, and you have to do it right. There is no
Maybe we already
No.
did.
so.
But the concept was solid, so that you
That's
don't
the
have all
concept.
five replaced at the same time.
Yeah, that's something that one of the reasons I ran was I seen all five up for election at the same time, and that's just not very consistent government. So it's something I wanted to bring up to the council. Hopefully everybody was in support of it, and if not, we can have that conversation. But I wanted to let you at least know what I was working on.
I appreciate it. I think it's something that we need to do for the town and for the good of the government. So I appreciate the work, and maybe we already did it, and some of us better get our campaign signs right.
Ryan, what bill was that? Was that 1354?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Can I ask a question to follow up? I get emails with legislative updates. Do you all get them from AIM as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
So many emails.
Yeah.
AIM sends emails.
So the last thing you want is for me to forward anything about this.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I just got a forward of an email I've received already 3 times. Yeah, no, we're good. I appreciate that. Any other legal updates that you have for us?
no updates for you at this time.
Fantastic. Department reports. Jim, what do you have for us?
Well, in July on our budget, speaking of employee reviews, we put a position in for the street department. And Jake Paul from the wastewater department, he'd asked for that position. So it looks like Steve will be getting that employee, so he can do his reviews on it. So now Kyle is working on a position for the wastewater plant. I think you've seen it on Facebook. So I think he's got maybe 3 or 4 applicants at this time. So that'll help him out.
Good.
Ethan, you had asked for the wastewater plant, and I will continue to give you the scheduling. It looks like this first week of February is when they're literally going to start. They're going to bring in 2 trailers, going to set the utilities for the construction, and then they will go on the clock. I think it looks like 2/17, so February 17th, and at that time they'll set the silt fence, the inlet protections on the property, the MS4. And then on that Tuesday, the 18th, they'll remove and set up temporary fencing around the new excavation. Then they'll start potholing for the utilities, look for the utilities that are on the property. And then on that Friday, it looks like they'll offsets and start doing the layouts for the buildings itself. And then that following week, they'll start stripping topsoils for the SBRs, the large tank, and then they'll excavate and put the big berm. I think that'll be on the east side of the plant for that large tank. So that first couple weeks there in February, we should start seeing some things happening. So,
Good.
and I'll just keep you abreast if that schedule changes.
Yeah,
And
no, I'd appreciate just kind of
Yeah.
at least monthly updates for the record and for our town, just to make
Fair
sure
enough.
everybody knows where we are and what's going on with it.
Yeah. And then I sent that quality of place there at the Thrive Center. I'm not sure who all's going. I've been to several of the meetings, and I actually have a meeting tomorrow night at 6. I'm not sure which one I'll go to, but I think I have at least a couple councils going to this, and I think this is, it was a nice plan that they had in place. So
Well, I can only speak for myself and Ethan. I
Yep.
think we'll be at Tony D's
yeah, you have that. Yeah.
tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I would love to
Okay.
go to the Thrive event, but
Yeah.
I have a private commitment at Tony D's.
I will be there.
I
Okay.
will be there.
Good.
Good.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask something?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you heard anything about the apartment? Any groundbreaking status?
On Pekovic, yes, I actually had dinner with him today, and I wanted to see where he was at with all his projects. And it looks, I think probably the best bet would probably be maybe he'll be bringing in some plans around May, and then probably June, July, start the permit process, and then after that, start the apartments, so. But he is going to the Hancock Wellness because he has changed them. He will have to come back to planning, so we'll set those meetings up accordingly. So it'll all be presented back to the town.
Are they big changes?
They're pretty good. He's added some units. He's changed some architectural, so definitely want the hospital to weigh in because they've been a good, spokesperson for that whole area there. So, but that was today. Thank you. Yep.
Okay, thanks. And the dumpster at Fifth Third,
Yes.
have you checked into that?
I did. They were waiting on some good weather to build a corral around that dumpster there. Ours, I think our ordinance says, I think it's 2 yards. I don't know if it's like the minimum of 2 yards. Over that, you have to have that corral, but we've never had that problem there before. They've always had 2 trash cans up against the building. If for some reason they brought a dumpster in, and it sits right there in the parking lot. And anytime you put a dumpster in a parking lot, it's going to be taken advantage
Oh.
of. It's not their trash, it's
overflowing.
everybody else's trash. But regardless, it is an eyesore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're going to take care of it.
Yeah, I actually thought it was Taco Bell's when they were building Taco
Yeah,
Bell.
no.
So that's how long it's been there.
Yeah, Taco Bell has a door busted. I'll send them just a reminder if they could fix that.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else for Jim?
No.
Okay. We'll take it. Steve, what do you got for us?
Good night.
Okay. All right. Bob?
Yeah, so Officer Sproul is accelerating through his training. We thought it was going to take a little longer, but he's already made it to the phase where he's actually in his own squad car, being shadowed by the other officers. Very professional. We definitely hit a home run with this one so far. So very excited about this one. Also, I think you guys may have them in front of you. That was the year-end totals for our calls for service. Just for you to peruse, look over. Any questions on any of that, please feel free to ask about. This is straight from the EOC Center, so they're our record keeper. So if they're not right, it's not my fault. Actually, that's John Jocannis's thing. So we were actually down 3 officers this year for quite some time. So these numbers still surpass last year's numbers. So tells you we're getting busy.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anything for Chief?
I haven't received a ticket from the new officer yet, so I'm pleased.
Wait till you take it easy.
You have them lined up for all of them?
Fun fact,
Yes,
when I saw him,
Terre Haute.
I was like, I know him.
You know,
Somehow I know him.
Yep.
And I saw Officer Wally and asked him, I said, was he in the Terre Haute Reserve Unit? And he said, I don't know, let me ask him. And then he was. So
He was.
fun fact, I was the executive officer for Officer Sproul when he was in the Marine Corps. So yeah, small world.
Yep. Yeah, he said he saw you, and he's like, I know him.
Yeah.
I go, Major, Major.
Bob, just on your report, I'd like to comment that I'm thankful that last year we only had 1 jailbreak and we only found 1 child.
Yes. So the child thing's the worst because county's got a program for autistic children that sometimes tend to wander, and they've been awesome. They'll come out and they help put bands on them, like tracking. So every once in a while it does happen where they walk away, but they've got it's like a tracking like sonar, or radar, whatever. They can pick them up and track them. If you remember, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we had the young man that got into the cornfield and standing corn, so it didn't work. So that's when we started bringing out the drones and everything. So that's maybe a future goal we may be looking at the police department is, maybe a drone for the department or for the town to kind of like when we start having these big buildings and things. So it's just, if you guys think about it or you know anybody that would like to help out.
Well, I do know the Hancock County Sheriff's Department is getting a new drone and a pretty fancy one. So
I've heard, yes. They didn't give us their old.
3 of them.
Yeah, it comes
Three
out
of
of it comes out of a doghouse with lights on it and the whole 9 yards. So maybe we can get
Yeah,
some
we've been
assistance. from that.
fortunate. The fire department's been very good about helping us out. They've got a couple. I know Greenfield's got another one. So we've had some instances down where we've actually had the drone out, and it's been great. You know, we had the gentleman a year and a half ago that ran into our cornfield, ran from one of our officers, and they were able to put that over the cornfield, and we could see this guy the whole time because they had the infrared. He wasn't going anywhere. We knew exactly where it was.
Have you reached out to Sheriff Burkhart to see what they're doing with their old drones?
I have not. We have a chiefs meeting coming up next month, so we'll have a conversation then.
Yeah. Good deal.
Yvonne?
I don't have anything.
All right. Thank you, guys. We open up the meeting for 5 minutes from public comments about anything. If there's anything that you have on your hearts, like to say or suggest, this is the opportunity to do that. Again, stepping to the podium for name and address would be helpful. Awesome. Okay. Then we'll move on to council comments. Ryan, you're first on the list.
Awesome. I don't have anything this evening.
Okay. Terry, you're next on the list.
Awesome. I don't either.
Hat trick.
Oh, man.
I don't have a hat.
Okay. Go.
I don't have anything. this
Oh,
Oh, come on.
the only thing that I'll offer is the council chat tomorrow night at Tony D's at 6:30 with Bill and I. That's it. So with that, I'll receive a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.